I was speaking to an investor earlier this morning. And telling me, he said, what would get you concerned? I'll tell you what would get me concerned. So the federal government says, you know what, we're spending way too much money. We're going to cut back on defense spending. We're going to close all these bases. We're not going to be the policemen of the world anymore. We're going to means test Social Security. We're going to means test Medicaid. We're going to, we're going to cut federal spending in every single way possible and try and get the United States back on a healthy fiscal and monetary course. That wouldn't be good for us. But then think about that for a moment. Think about what's going on and think about what really are the odds of that happening. But, and I would submit that they're pretty low. But if that were to happen, that would not be good for our thesis. But having said that, I don't really see that happening. I don't see the odds of that happening as being very meaningful right now. I think in turn, the economy is probably weaker than people think. Once all the stimulus wears out, they're going to need more. There's some inflation. I believe long term we've turned the corner on inflation and that we're back in an inflationary environment, but it's not going to be runaway because, below the surface, the economy is kind of punk in a lot of ways. So, there's going to be, there are a lot of cross currents here. There's just a lot of cross currents, but I do know this. I do know that the people in government, generally speaking, want to preserve their positions, their power, their jobs, everything else. They do that by keeping the system running. And the system needs more and more credit and more money to run on a continual basis. And that is a positive catalyst for gold because monetary debasement, negative real interest rates, those things drive, the substitute money, which has been around for 5,000 years and can't be printed. And people say, well, you might have deflation. I say, yeah, we might have deflation, but guess what? If we have deflation, what's the best thing to hold? Cash, right? Because the price of everything goes down. You want cash to buy stuff. Well, gold is cash that can't be printed. So it's really great in deflation too, right? I mean, gold's very liquid. I mean, you can't go to the store and buy shit with gold, but you can go to any coin dealer and sell your gold. I mean, there's a big market for gold. So, to me, it's really a win under both scenarios. If we have massive deflation, gold's going to be fine relatively. And if we have massive inflation, gold's going to be super fine. So, I feel very, very comfortable sitting where we're sitting right now. I think the next couple of years are going to be pretty rewarding for us. And then I think we're going to have some tougher decisions to make because things won't be as cheap as they are right now.
Well, the way that I see it is that as the overall debt mountain increases, the interest rate that is in inverted commas affordable decreases.
Yeah.
So right. if the rate of interest that you can pay on that debt is slipping down and down and down,
right.
then the background inflation required to create negative real rates decreases
right.
as well. So you don't need 10% inflation.
Exactly right.
Real rates. 2% inflation would do it.
Right. And the problem they've run up against is it's very hard to take interest rates negative. I mean, they've managed to do it in Europe, but you get down to kind of the zero bound of interest rates, and then you got to start doing other stuff like sending money to people, which they've been doing. And guess what? Once you start doing something, you're going to have to do more of it. And so, I can see the end point. I don't know how quickly it's coming, but I can see the trend. I can see the end point. I mean, am I always watching for changes in the trend? Oh, sure. And, is it possible they'll try and head fake us and bump the interest rates or withdraw accommodation? Yeah, sure. I mean, they're trying to stay alive too, and they're very aware of the inflation risk and the hyperinflation risk and the Gresham's law risk and the currency risk. They know all that. They're not stupid. I mean, this is a system they've set up that benefits them, and they want to keep it going. And so we can't underestimate the wiliness and the evil craftiness of the guys running the show. And, that to me, they can't take away my gold. They can't take away my gold stocks. And I'm pretty sure they're going to be worth a lot more in real terms in 5 years. So, I kind of sit back and I have to laugh at, just how stupid the people running the show are. I mean, really, they're just, and how venal they are. I mean, how they have to lie about, all their, for Jake Powell to say, for example, the Federal Reserve doesn't create wealth inequality. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it's absurd. It's completely absurd. But I also think below the surface, the economy is not as strong as it looks. I think the economy was held up by all the stimulus and all the, the money they threw at it. And, they haven't signed the next thing. I mean, and by the way, any kind of an economic downturn will be the catalyst to cause the guys in Washington to go, oh, look at that. We got to come back at it. I mean, you guys, if you were here, how much you paid attention in 2008, I'll never forget when they put TARP up They said, we got to do a $700 billion TARP plan to bail out these banks, blah, blah, blah. And Congress looked at them and said, what are you nuts? We're not doing that. No way. Well, the next day the stock market was down big, right? And like 2 days later, TARP passed. Like, they were like, oh, okay. Yeah, well, we get it. No, TARP's good. We're going to pass TARP. Yeah. So, and my sense is that'll be kind of what happens here. I mean, if they dither around on the next round of stimulus and infrastructure and all this other crap, the debt ceiling, you notice recently they've been talking about getting really hard on the debt ceiling. Of course, that's a joke because they've been saying that for the last 15 years too. Of course they're going to pass a higher debt ceiling. That's a total no-brainer. It's going to happen instantly.
Before we continue, help us by smashing that YouTube like button and subscribe now to this channel. This shows the algorithm that you value the information, and it helps us spread this message. Sharing is caring. Please like and subscribe now. Thank you. And now, let's continue.
And they're going to say they really hammered it out and they cut spending and, there'll be a bunch of noise around, but of course they're going to. They don't have a choice. They really don't have a choice. And that's what informs my investment decisions. The people who are running the system are holding a very bad hand, and we've got them in check. And pretty soon it's going to be checkmate. And, that's going to be kind of fun actually, because I really want to see these people fail badly. I mean, they deserve to fail and they will. I mean, they really will. So that's going to be fun. The thing is I'm sure you guys have the same reaction. The thing that's stunning to me is that more people haven't got on more quick, but more and more people are catching on. I mean, I get more people just who have nothing to do with anything financial who are asking me, oh, what about gold? What about inflation? What about all this money printing? It's the awareness. I mean, I can assure you that 5-10 years ago, nobody had a clue and paid any attention to this subject, right? It's actually now kind of a thing. I mean, I had it in my report, my quarterly report, which you can go to my website and get. It's like Google searches on inflation. Well, post all this activity, they've gone straight up. I mean, everyone's like, whoa, what's inflation? And you got to remember, a lot of people haven't lived through inflation. I was in my teens, but in the 70s, inflation was really it was pretty stunning. It was a big deal. I mean, I'll never forget my parents. I mean, you could buy a car, drive it for 2 years and sell it for more than you paid for it. So your used car was worth more, than you paid for it. And the reason for that is because the new car had gone up even more. So, and that's inflation, right? That's what happens. The system's broken and the system's going to break completely, and then the system's going to get fixed, and that's really good. And so my view is, a lot of people are like, well, let's try and keep this old broken system going. I mean, these are the people who are in power and making money off it. My view is, no, let's get it over with. I mean, let's just rip this Band-Aid off, right? I mean, it's a mess. Let's fix it. I mean, and there's actually a way they could do it with creating less pain, which would be a reset, where they do what Roosevelt did. They'd reset the price of gold, and they tie gold. They tie the currencies to gold, and that would stop inflation dead in its tracks. Now, it'd be very hard for some people, but it would solve the problem. And they're going to have to do that anyway. The difference is that they'll probably do it as a last. That'll be the last thing they'll try, and it should be the first thing they try. Somebody coined the term, and I really like it, called quintillionaire. A quintillion was a guy back in the John Law days who got very wealthy by getting first access to the money. And the argument is that, BlackRock's buying all these houses in the United States, and everyone says, well, it's a free market, let them buy them. Well, yeah, except that BlackRock's cost of capital is 30 basis points, and so the people who have access to the free credit and the low cost capital can use that money to go buy up things in front of other people and drive up those prices. And then the poor young couple that's trying to buy a house to get started has to pay too much for their house because the quintillionaires at BlackRock were able with the free money to front run them. And, and that's why, this goes back to what I said about Jay Powell. And that's why it's so sad and unfortunate, that he doesn't see or won't admit that, this low cost money, this free money that the Fed injects into the financial system really benefits the financial players and lets them get rich at the expense of everyone else who doesn't have access to that money. And they end up paying the price. And so, the poor working slob, pays a higher cost for his beer and his food, and he doesn't get to buy his house with a 0% interest rate mortgage or a 30 basis point mortgage. And he's got to pay up for the house that BlackRock bought cheap, and it's just wrong. It's incredibly wrong. And so, the pitchforks need to come out, and I think they will. People are beginning to realize that the government really is not their friend. And if I were in government, I would want to be in government because I don't think it's going to go real well for them in the next 5 years. I think they're going to have a very rough time. Here's the thing, guys. It will be better. This is not a forever problem. It really is not. This has happened before in history many, many times. And when it does happen, it's tumultuous. Don't get me wrong. It's going to be going through it's not going to be easy for some people and for a lot of people, but it doesn't mean it doesn't last that long. And when you reset to a sound money system, they do repair themselves. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, people work hard. They get up every day. People get up, go to work, and try and make the world a better place. And they're going to keep on doing that. The problem is right now we're just dealing with this funny money, and it's like trying to build a house with a yardstick that keeps moving and changing. I mean, you can't figure out how to do it. It's just too complicated, and it screws you.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.